And welcome back to the second video that I'm doing for Sonic Academy. My name's Jim Rivers and I'm going through a number of techniques and stuff that I use when I'm making the music that you would have heard. So the first session we did some little bits and bobs in Ableton and Logic, and we got a few elements together that I'd made for kind of a basic drum groove. In this video I'm looking to just develop on that a little bit more, explain some of the ways behind making a groove and what I look for, and some of the effects that I will put on some drums and stuff to try and make them sit together well and sound good. So you'll remember last time we had a few of these loops, like this one for example. Now these were loops that I'd made originally, chopped parts out of other loops. You can see kind of there's these patches. I'd use the envelope to take it out of different parts of loops and stuff. What I quite often look to do is to change also the pitch of a loop. Now you can do that really simply in Ableton here with the transpose section here, but for this track I remember when I did it I decided to do it within Logic using Waves audio plugin called Sound Shifter Pitch. Now they do effectively they do the same thing, but sometimes things just sound slightly different, or you just have a feeling for a certain thing on a certain day. So what I did with this sound, which I'm going to show you now, is I decided to do a number of things. So if I pull up the effects that I've actually got these the wrong way around. That's very bad of me. The EQ should be first, so let's just switch those around first. That's a good little hotkey. If you want to move a plugin, whether it's bypassed, you can bypass it and unbypass it by pressing Alt. But whether it's bypassed or not, if you hold down the Apple command key, you can click and move things around. So it's a really useful way. You can also click it in between channels and buses and stuff as well. Anyway, let's get those back up. Oh, going around in circles here. Here we go. So the original sound is this. It's kind of that glitchy, scratchy kind of sound. It's very much a groove element. It's something that sounds a bit weird on its own, but hopefully with other stuff, the sum of the parts make it sound interesting and groovy, which is what we're after. Now, obviously here I wanted to add some EQ to it, so I've taken out some of the low frequency stuff, only to 88 Hertz that says. So there's a little rumble under there that I wanted to get rid of. So you're not going to notice a massive difference, but it's just something that I like to do sometimes. And I decided to give it a little peak around the 300 mark, just to pick out a little bit more of those kind of MIDI, slightly tonal percussion knocks. It's a simple EQing. And the next thing that I wanted to do was to change the pitch of it. So by using this plugin here, very, very simple. It's got semitones, sense stuff where you can just change it very, very easily. And I've adjusted this a little bit, so let's have a listen. So it's just taking it down a few notes, and for me it just fitted better with the overall groove that I was looking to get. And then the final thing that I did was some directional stuff. Now I quite often use this plugin here, the Direction Mixer in Logic. You can use the pan on the individual channels, but I like Direction Mixer, and I just fiddle around with it. Here I've got a very not that clever setup, but I've got it on the channel, fiddle around with it until I got it to work. So when it's in context with other stuff, it should sound quite good. So you can hear that loop sticking out quite a long way. So what I always tend to do is, even when I'm just laying parts for grooves, I kind of semi-mix as I go. So I will always try and make stuff roughly sit. Otherwise it just annoys me. And I think it's a good habit to get into. So I'll do that now. But actually what I've done there is I've left the Ableton channel on. Now this is actually quite a good thing to do. you have to be careful. If you've bounced stuff from Ableton and you forget to mute the channel, it's going to play it twice. So that's what I did there. So let me try that again. So just get that sitting roughly right where I wanted it. Other parts that I've used in here, I've got a number of claps and stuff. So let's look at some of these sounds. So this sound on its own. Again, just something I've probably chopped out of somewhere. I can't remember where, to be honest. And often probably something where I'll do a little bit of EQ on it because it's got quite a bit of bass on it. So let me just stick that in now. With the Logic EQs, I tend to use these quite a lot. You can get loads of different ones, but I like the Logic ones. They're not too complicated. They have an analyzer, which is really good. It will show you the frequency that's coming up, which is very helpful, especially when you start out and when you get much more in detail with stuff. Now, for a clap, that's got too much bottom end on it, so I'm just going to add the cutoff there and roll it up a bit to take away some of that thumpiness. That'll do. You can see I've got two claps here as well, so I've probably got them working off each other if I remember rightly. I've got a directional mixer on this one. Yeah, just a fraction. So you can see that it's panning slightly to one side and the spread on it is a bit wider than the default setting. And then on the clap above that I just put the EQ on, I've also got a spreader. And again, I think this is just the default setting, which is really, really nice in this plugin. It makes things sound really wide, but not too over the top. It's just a very easy go-to plugin that I like to use a lot on sounds, and you can manipulate it quite subtly to get the right kind of thing. So the two claps together. So there's a little bit more width there. One of them is slightly delayed off the other one. That's another thing in terms of groove. If everything that you put in your drum beats are bang on the quantized lines, they're right smack on the bars, it can sound very rigid. Now loops are really useful for that because, you know, quite often a producer has made a loop and it's got lots of groove in it. But if you're looking to build up your own elements like I have here, then look at how you can work things off. So you can see with these two claps, the second clap here, it kind of comes in a little bit before, so you just get that slight humanization in the sound that just gives it that little bit more groove and interest, which is what it's all about. Okay, cool, that's sounding good. The perk here, let's have a listen to that one. I've lost track of what's what. Okay, yeah, these are elements where they're working off of another loop. So these two loops here, the perk loop and the knocking loop that I've called it here, will be working off each other. And you can see on these channels as well, I've got stuff mapped out. Those are the wrong way around. Let's put that in the right way. I've got it mapped out so that they'll work off each other. I'm always thinking of how sounds can work and complement each other. That's all really an important part of creating a groove. So on this one I've applied some EQ, so let's have a look what I've done. That shortcut that I use to get rid of all the plugins on the screen, if you want to do that, is just V. Press V, get some away, so that's useful sometimes when you don't want to close everything down. But in this instance, I just want this EQ open so you can see it. So this plugin here, so I've left some of the bassier stuff in it, but there was obviously something frequency-wise that I didn't like here. I'm not going to massively go into that now because I'll be doing some EQing stuff on some of the later sounds later on. But ultimately, the desired effect is always to make them work off of each other. So on this one, I have a directional mixer. So let's see what that is. And then the one below, I have one. So we've got these two things doing something slightly different, and the idea again is that they'll work off each other. So let's have a listen. So by using the directional mixer, you can pick things out from the left and the right, and the directional mixer gives you a little bit more depth than the straight pan because it takes into consideration some of the spreading stuff as well. So you can almost make stuff sound like it's slightly at the forefront of the sound and wide, or slightly in the background of the sound and wide as well. So it's quite a useful plugin. It's only got two things you can change, but you can get a really good variety of sounds and effects from it, which I think is really useful. Also, what I like to do often with a lot of my drums is to run them through a bus and put some sort of soft compression on them. So that's the last thing I'm going to show you here before we go on to the next video. Now I've already got a bunch of these set up. Go into bus 2, and there's a compression on there called Eddie Kramer compression, which is I think it's out of the Waves pack. Let me just add that one in there as well. So I'm just changing the output to a bus which I've got the compression on, which is bus 2. Let me just check all of these are going through. As you can see, the tambourine and shaker, similar thing. They've got directional mixers and EQs on them, so it's all about the detail part of the sound at this stage. Some of them have got some pitch on them, some of them have got some direction on them, some of them don't have any EQ at all. Often I might have had a little play around with the EQ in Ableton Live as well. But the thing that I mean about putting the EQ on first, the way to look at it is the EQ is the detail on the source sound. So you want to be putting the EQ on the sound to get it sounding how you want it. Then the next thing is some of the dynamics, so you might put some compression on it. And then the next thing after that would be, say for example, your bells and whistles, so effects, delays, reverbs. So if you remember that kind of order, it makes a big difference to the sound. Otherwise you can be EQing a delayed sound, which is not the best way to go about it. So running through the compression here, let's have a listen. Now, what I use compression for within the drums is nothing too extreme. It's just to kind of glue it all together a little bit, give it a little bit of presence, and just to make the overall sound sort of nice and rounded and chunky. I'll go into some more compression stuff in another video, but this has been me, Jim Rivers, on Sonic Academy. The next video, we're going to start to add some bass and some melody in, so I'll see you then. Thanks.